Thank you, sir. Although a man of Gurudev's stature doesn't need an introduction, I would still request Mr. Mudit Shastri, Trustee Lal Bhadur Shastri National Memorial Trust, to familiarize us about Gurudev and his vision of uniting the world into a global family.
I always wanted to experience how Mr. Amitabh Bachchan would experience after following a speaker. That is to put up the mic a little above my eye line. So today, thanks to this tool, I've been able to take a higher horizon of everybody sitting here. Good evening, respected Gurudev, Shri Shri Ravishankar ji, Mr. Anil Shastri ji, Mr. Sunil Shastri ji, and respected guests. At the onset, I would like to thank Lal Bhadur Shastri Memorial Trust for giving me this opportunity of introducing a guest like Gurudev Shri Shri Ravishankar ji to such an esteemed audience. Gurudev is an epitome of the amalgamation of science and spirituality, as both spring from the urge to know. The question, who am I, leads to spirituality, and the question, what is this, leads to science. Today's topic, spiritual values for peace and sustainability, are closely linked to both spirituality and science, because spiritual values will lead to peace, but sustainability will come from science. So they are closely interlinked. And this is what Gurudev has been preaching us for many, many years. In today's personal and professional environment, with so much of stress and anxiety, Gurudev continuously urges us to live in the present moment. I would like to mention an anecdote or a story from one of the most popular sports in India. The great Sachin Tendulkar was asked once, what differentiates Virendra Sehwag from other batsmen? Sachin Tendulkar replied, Virendra Sehwag simply forgets what happens in the previous ball and does not care for the result of the next ball. He simply sees the ball and hits the ball. That is living in the moment. This is what Gurudev urges us to do. And this is what I have done. When I was preparing for my class 12 boards, I forgot my class 10th marks. When I was preparing for my college entrance exam, I forgot my class 12th paper results. And now, when I go for my interviews or work in my offices, I have completely wiped out whatever marks I got during my education. And now I have the audacity to tell my nephews and kids that you better study, because studies are the most important thing in the world. So I have learned from Gurudev this: always live in the moment and try to forget whatever failures you have got in the past. This is something that is done annually, where I am given the honor of introducing our respected guests here. I got the opportunity to introduce Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, one of my idols. I was a keen cricketer. After that, I also introduced, along with that, I've introduced a Nobel Peace Prize winner, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. So every time I'm going up, now I've reached the level of Gurudev Shri Shri Ravishankar ji. And every time I'm given a piece of paper to give an introduction, and I'm absolutely humbled, because I don't think I am actually eligible to give an introduction to a person like a person like Gurudev. But I will try to give some kind of a introduction to all of you. Gurudev was born in 1956 in southern India, and at the age of 4, astonished his teacher by reciting the Bhagavad Gita. He started his lessons with his first teacher, Pandit Sudhakar Chaturvedi ji, a close associate of Gandhi ji, and went on to become a scholar in Vedic literature and modern science. Gurudev Shri Shri Ravishankar ji is a universally revered spiritual and humanitarian leader. His vision of violence-free, stress-free society through the reawakening of human values, has inspired millions to broaden their spheres of responsibility and work towards the betterment of the world. He is a social activist whose initiatives include conflict resolution, disaster and trauma relief, poverty elevation, empowerment of women, prisoner rehabilitation, education for all, and campaign against female infanticide and child labor. He is engaged in peace negotiation and counseling in conflict zones around the world. His experience in bringing opposing parties to the negotiating table in areas such as Sri Lanka, Iraq, Colombia, Venezuela, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Ayodhya, Kashmir, Bihar is widely acknowledged. I hope to maybe involve you in one of my wars with my wife one day, because we have a lot of fights, all of us, all the husbands and wife. So one of the wars, maybe you can negotiate a peace treaty between all husbands and wife one day. In recognition of his initiatives, the Supreme Court of India appointed him as one of the 3 mediators to resolve the Ayodhya dispute, which finally ended in 2019. In 1981, Gurudev established the Art of Living, an educational humanitarian non-governmental organization that works in special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. Present in 156 countries, it formulates and implements lasting solutions to conflict and issues faced by individuals, communities, and nations. In 1995, Gurudev founded the International Association for Human Values to foster human values and lead sustainable development projects. He has pioneered and supported movements to revive ethics in public life, such as India Against Corruption and the World Forum for Ethics in Business. The Institute, Lal Bhadur Shastri Institute of Management, is one of the premier institutes and one of the first institutes who started a course and a subject in ethics in business. He's reached out to an estimated 450 million people worldwide through personal interactions, public events, teachings, art of living workshops, and humanitarian initiatives. Many of my friends and relatives are part of his art of living workshops, and they have shared what kind of experience they have whenever they go through their experience. Not since Mahatma Gandhi has one person united people of different traditions and faith across the length and breadth of India. He has brought to the masses ancient practices which were traditionally kept exclusive and has designed many self-development techniques which can easily be integrated into daily life to calm the mind and instill confidence and enthusiasm. These techniques have helped thousands overcome depression and violent societal tendencies. One of Gurudev's most unique offerings to the world is the Sudarshan Kriya, a powerful breathing technique that facilitates the mental and emotional social well-being. Numerous honors have been bestowed upon Gurudev, including the highest civilian award of Colombia, Mongolia, and Paraguay. In 2016, he was conferred with the Padma Vibhushan, the highest annual civilian award of India. He has also been conferred with 23 honorary doctorates from across the world. Gurudev is the lifetime president of Sri Sri University. He is a member of the Amarnath Shrine Board, appointed by Government of Jammu and Kashmir, and Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board. He was appointed the chairman of the reception committee for the 500th anniversary celebration of the coronation of Krishna Devaraya by the government of Karnataka. He travels to nearly 40 countries every year and addressed several international forums exemplifying his call to globalize wisdom. His universal and simple message is the love and wisdom can prevail over hatred and distress. With this, on behalf of Lal Bhadur Shastri Memorial Trust and Lal Bhadur Shastri Institute of Management, I would like to welcome Gurudev Sri Sri Shankarji.
ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये. It's a great pleasure for me to be on this dais with Anilji and Sunilji and address on the memorial lecture of our great Prime Minister of yesteryears, Bharat Ratna Shri Lal Bhadur Shastri ji. We were all children in schools when we heard the news from Tashkent, and there was not one dry eye when we heard the news that he has departed to the other side of the world. The whole country went through a big shock. Those days we didn't have social media, we didn't have even television. All that we could do is just stick ourselves to the All India radio, that little box, that not even transistors. We had only that old type of box, you see this big box, and then sometimes the needle has to move from this side and that side, two stations will come at once. And then no telephone connections those days, very few telephone connections. And that type of pre-technology era is when we heard this news, and we were all young. We were not even teenagers at the time. Young people, then we were all in a big shock. But his stature has always inspired people and continues to inspire. A calm and gentle personality, and his voice. A person's voice indicates most of his personality. Whether someone is aggressive or loving, caring, you can all notice it in their voice. The tone of the voice. Don't you think so? Do you all agree with me? Hey, Kono. It has a different feeling. Aap kaise ho? Has a different feeling. The tone, tenure, the commitment of a person comes out in that. So whatever little bit what we have heard in the radio, we could easily feel that what a nice person he was. Of course, his family would know that better, that nobody can express it much more than people who have worked with him and people who have been around him. Now coming to the topic of today, spirituality, peace and sustainability. What spirituality has to do? We think spirituality is doing some ritual, sitting in some corner. Vedant is for those who are Vedant. Young people, you ask them spirituality. It was a time when spirituality was thought to be a matter of only elderly people. When they retire, then they sit in a temple or somewhere and they do some chanting or read some books. That is what is considered a spiritual thing. Or the old lady at home, the grandmother, sit and keep doing rosary. That was taken as a religious practice, was considered as spirituality, and is nothing to do with rest of the life or how to live life. That was a wrong understanding. It was a misnomer. It was only later that people started realizing spirituality is that which aids our life in so many ways. It brings solution to many things, including the gentleman who introduced me said about the conflict between me and my wife. Definitely spirituality will help there. In what way? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Ashantasya kutas sukham. If you are disturbed, where is the happiness? And what do you want? You ask anybody, what do you want? Happiness. And can you have happiness if you are not peaceful? No way. But have we taught how to find peace? Neither in school nor at home. Nobody teaches you how to get rid of negative emotions when you get it. I think I will read off this podium. Can you hear me now? Yeah. You can see me less and hear me more. So, peace. It's normal that we undergo emotional turbulence. Look at a child. Child doesn't smile all the time, and it's time to go to bed. It doesn't know how to sleep. Then, or he or she starts. The baby starts crying, or if it's hungry, it starts crying. If a toy is taken away from a child, it starts crying. It gets angry. All these emotions are normal. But a baby snaps out of all those emotions, doesn't hold on to any of them. The tears are still in its cheek and it starts smiling. Just tell me how many days it takes for you to smile back when the tear has come into your eyes. As an adult, we do not know that because we've never been taught how to handle or manage or understand even our own minds. Spirituality is understanding yourself, your mind, your emotions, your intellect. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantya shantasya kutasaka. If you are not harmonious inside, if you are not united with your being, neither can you be intelligent, nor can your emotions be refined. The sharpness of mind comes only when there is calmness within. Do you agree with me? If you are so disturbed, are you able to perceive things better? Are you able to think better? Impossible. So the way to find that peace is meditation. And that is what I would call a spirituality. Religions have values, symbols, practices, but the basic core of every religion, from where it all sprang, was spirituality, and we have forgotten that. It almost like you are holding on to the banana skin and threw the banana away. We miss the real fact, the practices that we need to be doing in everyday life. And today, fortunately, science has shaken hands with this ancient science of spirituality. The value of yoga, meditation has all been today authenticated. If you ask me why I named our movement as Art of Living, there is a story behind it. 40 years, this is the 40th year, we completed 40 years actually. In those days, 40 years back, yoga and spirituality, meditation was a taboo. Especially in the West, even in India. Even in India it was a taboo. That was only for कोई साधु होंगे इलाहाबाद में भस्म रमा के एक टांग पर खड़े होंगे, or someone sleeping on a bed of nails or full of ashes. That's yoga those days. Abroad also yoga was not so popular. Or they had some sort of thing, it's people who are out there, it's for them. Or only people out there would do yoga. It's not a normal practice. This is what the concept was, or inhibition that people had was. But then when I said it's just art of living, people started showing interest in it. They got intrigued and they came to see what it is. Let's go and see. And when they saw, they do a little bit of asana, not too much of it. I never force anybody to do that which they cannot do. एक टांग पर खड़े रहो, पद्मासन लगाओ, वज्रासन लगाओ. When they cannot do it, it's no point. Asana is only a very small, tiny part. But what we need to understand, our mind and breath has a connection. They play a very important role. Fortunately, today, that prejudice has become so much less. I would say it's almost gone, not fully gone though. More than 2.5 billion people on the planet today practice yoga, or they are fans of yoga. And this wealth we had in our country and we were not even honoring it. Spirituality has a role to play in bringing peace. In this sense, it teaches us about ourselves. What is this is science, who am I is spirituality. Are they contradictory to each other? Who am I is never contradicts to what is this. If you go deep in science, the theory of relativity is just that, because subject influences the object, or the subject's influence on an object in the knowing of the object is established beyond any doubt. So, मन को संभालना, ये हमें सिखाना चाहिए. Today, the biggest challenge the world is facing after COVID is mental health problem. At the drop of the hat, we lose our temper. Do you think they are healthy? I don't consider them to be really healthy if they just lose their temper too often, if they look so stressed and they don't know what to do, so confused. All these emotions, negative emotions, are a sign of lack of spiritual guidance or knowledge. That's why in Gita, Bhagavan Krishna said, Nas prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthati. When intelligence regains its seat is when you feel the pleasantness, when you feel calm. When you are calm, your intellect works. And it works very well. The sharpness of observation and perception comes up with the calm mind. So, universal peace or world peace is impossible without the individual peace. And today you see what is happening. The wars are generated in the minds of people, not in the weapons. The source of war is mind, because we have never been taught how to handle our mind, our emotions. A person who is insecure finds everyone around them as enemies. And then he starts. What do you say? Do you agree with me? Huh? Insecurity, lack of understanding, too much of stress, improper perception, and inability to know one's own strength, all together will cause a conflict. So to resolve the conflicts, people will have to simply sit a little bit and relax. If there is too much to do and you have too little time and no energy, this is the formula for disaster. Stress, for me, stress is simply a lot to do and no time and no energy. So it results in one getting stressed. And when you are stressed, you become deaf. When you don't listen to anybody. कुछ लोग होते हैं वो सब जानते हैं. उनसे बात करो तो लगेगा कि दीवार के साथ बात कर रहे हैं आप. No, कोई perception ही नहीं होता. They don't receive it. You feel you are talking to a wall because they judge everything. Our mind goes on judging everything. A mind which is calm, which is happy, which is collective, is a very good receptor. Most of the conflicts are caused by lack of perceptual ability, a lack of, perceiving, receiving what the others are saying. Whether it is at home, in the society, or in the parliament, you see what they do. The mic starts getting wings and they start flying. Mics fly. So much sound, so much of shore, so much of conflict. It is all amounting to not being taught how to handle one's own mind, one's own emotions. And definitely it is connected with sustainability. Greed is a sign of, again, lack of big picture about life. अरे भाई, हम सबको जाना ही इस दुनिया से, सब लोग निकल जाएंगे, बैंक में बड़ा बैलेंस रख के चले जाएंगे, और हमारे जो बच्चे हैं वो उसको लेके के कोर्ट में मुकदमे लड़ते रहेंगे वो उनके जीवन जिंदगी भर पर। इतना ग्रीड और इतना लोभ करके जो भी हमने कमा के रख दिया, वो ना हम सुखी रहे उससे, ना बच्चे सुखी रहते हैं उससे। ऐसा हो रहा है। तो सस्टेनेबिलिटी डिपेंड्स ऑन, अगेन, स्टेट ऑफ माइंड. When the greed is less, we tend to destroy, we become more cognizant of environmental issues. हमको सिर्फ पैसा ही दिखता है तो एनवायरनमेंट क्या है, चाहो क्या है. We are not sensitive to others at all. Sensitivity, sensibility, ये सब हमारे में जगना हो तो ध्यान की आवश्यकता है, योग की आवश्यकता. योग माने फिर अगेन आई एम सेइंग a broad mindedness, a broad outlook towards life is essential, and that makes us see things as they are, not as as it appears to be when we are stressed. यूजुअली मैं ज़्यादा बोलता नहीं, थोड़ा सा ही बोलता हूँ, फिर प्रश्नोत्तर लेता हूँ. See, in this country, from ancient times, there is a saying, the first sign of intelligence is not to talk. Once you lose it, at least not to talk unless a question is asked. So, गीता से लेके आप देखिए सारे पुराण, सब कोई प्रश्न पूछता है तब उत्तर कोई देते हैं. मैं ऐसा ही कुछ अपना स्टाइल बनाता हूँ. तो आपने कहा कि घर की कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हम कैसे सुधारें. मैं यही कहूँगा, घर की कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में थोड़ा आप देखो, ये पहली बार कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में नहीं आए हो आप, जिंदगी भर आपको कॉन्फ्लिक्ट किसी ना किसी के साथ हुआ ही है भाई. आज जाके देखो सब सॉल्व हो ही गया. अब ये कौन सी बड़ी बात है, ये भी सॉल्व हो जाएगा. अपने ही अनुभव से तुम्हें हिम्मत मिल जाएगी, नंबर 1. दूसरी बात है, ठीक है, क्या इस एक कोई समस्या आ गई, इस समस्या से समाधान के लिए पूरा कोशिश करते, और वो जब हम हलचल में हो जाते हैं तो समाधान नहीं निकलता, थोड़ा सब्र करें. Then there is a greater power. That power is taking care of everything in the world. Have little faith in that bigger power. Then also you will see, you'll sail through it. इस तरह से we can see many ways to resolve the cobwebs or clear the cobwebs that get formed in our own head. तो मैं इतना ही कहूँगा. अभी आपको कुछ पूछना हो, कुछ कहना हो, आप पूछिए, फिर मैं एक आध बात उस पर करूँगा. अच्छा, इससे पहले मैं एक कोलंबिया में हमारा एक अनुभव है, मैं आपके सामने वो पेश करूँगा. कोलंबिया में, in Colombia, what you prefer, English or Hindi? English? Okay. See, in Colombia, we were doing work for all the refugees, internally displaced people. 2 million people were, 20 million people were displaced. माने 2 करोड़ लोग displaced हो गए थे अंदर के. So when we were working with them, trauma relief and all that, it was a big impact on the society. So the Colombian government invited me, that they had decided to give me their highest civilian award, highest in the state. It was given only to 2 more people before for 50 years of their existence, I said. And our organizers said, "Dear Gurudev, you must come and take it." Because my first time going to Colombia. So I went there to receive the award. After the award ceremony, there is just a formal handshake with the president, which usually lasts 5-7 minutes. But that lasted for 50 minutes. When I sat with him, he said, "Gurudev, I find no other option than the military one. And America has agreed. We are losing people every day, and they are causing such havoc. They are blowing up our water supplies to the city. They are blowing up our TV towers and communication towers. Cell phones get jammed. So they're creating so much havoc. And we can't take this. All talks have failed." I offered him, "Why not I go and meet with him?" He said, "Well, if you want to do, but I don't see there is any light at the end of the tunnel. मुझे नहीं लगता है इसमें कुछ होगा." I mean, that's exactly what he said. "I don't think that anything much will happen out of it." But anyway, I said, "Let me go." So I went there. They were in Cuba. I took a plane. It's about 5-6 hours flight. There is no formal flights there to Cuba from there. So I had to charter a flight, go there. And then I wanted to meet with them. First they said no. Said, we don't meet anybody religious, spiritual. Because we believe in Karl Marx. That is our everything. So they refused to meet with me. But that evening I had a talk in the University of Havana and a short meditation, and they sent someone to find out who I am and to check me out. They sent some feelers. These feelers who came there, later on went and told them, "No, I felt very good. Maybe we should meet him." Then I got the information in the night. Yes, they are ready to meet with me. Next day, 15 commandos, all the top people came to see me. And then they told one thing, "See, you are from India, from the land of Mahatma Gandhi. So we trust you. Please go and tell our government, Colombian government, we also heard you got the award. You go and tell them what they are doing is wrong." This was their intention, to come and dictate or tell me, take work from me to influence the Colombian government to stop atrocities on them. To make the story short, उन लोगों के साथ हम बैठे, I sat with them, we spoke, and I led them through some meditation. At the end of the third day, the same people came with me on the stage in the press conference and declared unilateral ceasefire. A 52-year-old war, 52-year, where 2 million people lost life, 20 million people were displaced, came to an end. This they did not believe. Neither the media believed, nor the government were ready to believe. They said it's too simple to believe it. I don't think we will believe it. It's just some gimmicks of them. I requested the government, just give them 1 month time. Sometimes apparent reality appears to be true. It's not really true. After they gave me this assurance and they gave a press conference, the next day there was a bomb blast. So they said, look, so ये सब hoax है. जैसे अयोध्या का हमने शुरू किया, अभी शुरू ही किया. I only landed up there in Ayodhya. Talks have failed. मीडिया ने शुरू कर दिया था ये सब जो है negotiations सब fell through. होगा नहीं. But I tell you, even in Ayodhya में, the Sunni Waqf Board, we should really respect them. They, the president, Zafar, Jilani नहीं वो, Zafar Farooqi ji, he agreed with us and all the other members agreed. They signed, they released what we got as a judgment later on. You must have seen that in television about it. Zafar Farooqi ji ने उनके पूरे कमिटी के मेंबर्स से सलाह किया. But of course there were some elements who were not wanting to. His own lawyer was not for it. His own, without the knowledge of his own lawyer who was fighting in the court, the main plaintiff came with his other associates. They signed, yes, we would like to accept 5 acres land somewhere outside and we would like to give up this land for the Hindus. So these sort of thing will happen when we sit in with an understanding, with a pure heart, with a clarity in mind, purity in heart and sincerity in action if we have, I tell you, there is no conflict that we cannot resolve. We can do it. It may take time. It may appear to have failed for some. As I said, Colombia, they said it was whole. But I told them, let's give them a benefit of doubt. Give them 1 month time. Because they haven't even been able to inform the people on the ground. So it takes them at least a month time to make everyone understand. And then we had a grand ceremony of peace treaty that followed that whole episode. Colombia today, if you go, you cannot imagine how it was 5 years back. Today it's so prosperous and so much rush. When I first went to Colombia, airport, hardly there would be any people. 100 people, 100, 200, 100, 150. Today, thousands are there. The roads, the whole city, whole place has prospered. Prosperity depends on peace. यहाँ पर भी देखिए झारखंड में. Why to go to Colombia? Here in our Jharkhand, I gave a call to the people there, the Naxalites, drop the bullet and come to ballot. I went to Latihar jail, spoke to them. More than 1,100 Naxalites, they laid down their arms. This is all possible only with spiritual energy, I tell you. Because spirituality, meditation, that brings that faith. एक तो कोई पॉलिटिशियन बोलता है तो उनको उसमें वो स्वीकार नहीं कर पाते हैं. उनको पता है जो बोल रहे हैं हमारे वर्कर्स, हमारे वॉलंटियर, उनका कोई और मकसद नहीं है, इंटेंशन नहीं है. They want the best for everybody. लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु. जब इस दिशा से हम जाते हैं, हमारा इंटेंशंस नेक रहे, हमारा काम सब जगह ठीक होता जाता है. तो इतना ही मैं कह के आप सबको कहूँगा. 2-3 प्रश्न I can take. If you have 1 or 2 questions, I will take it, 2 or 3 questions. And I wish you all the best. Namaskar. I don't think anybody has any questions, so नमस्कार. है क्या? हाँ बोलिए. हाँ हैंड बाइक नहीं है ना? इट्स ओके. Yeah. Let me repeat the question. With a guided missile and misguided human being on this planet, wars are happening everywhere. Now, how to bring peace to this world? This is the question, right? How to bring peace when United Nations have tried and though so many negotiations are happening. That's exactly what I'm saying. Misguided people. You are right. You know, on the World International Yoga Day, when I conducted a meditation program, our UN General Secretary General, Ban Ki-moon, was there. After meditation, he shared his experience. You know what did he say? He said, Gurudev, we should have this before every negotiation. He said, if we meditate before every negotiation, then at least people will talk sense. Most of the talks fail because nobody has, it's a sort of verbal diarrhea that people go through and no sincerity on sit and listen to others. Or listening nahi hai. And we don't see beyond the words. जो व्यक्ति जो बोलता जाता है वो शब्दों को पकड़ के हम बैठ जाते हैं. घर में भी यही होता है. अरे सासू माँ कुछ बोलती है तो वो पकड़ लेती उसको. वही बात माँ ने भी कहा है. माँ से कितनी बार लड़ाई लड़ चुकी है, उससे कुछ लगता नहीं है. सासू माँ से छोटी सी बात हो जाती है, बड़ी युद्ध राम महाभारत खड़ा हो जाता है. अरे माँ और सासू माँ में एक भेद बनाती है. क्यों? देखो दोनों एक ही एज का है, विचार भी करीब करीब मिलता ही है. तो ये क्यों ऐसा नहीं लेती? बिकॉज वी नेवर थॉट इन दैट डायरेक्शन, इन दैट वे. नेवर ओपन द माइंड अप एंड सॉ पिक्चर इन a greater context. So here we need to give peace education. The amount of money we spend in defense, even 0.1%, 0.01%, what every country spends on missiles, if they spend on peace education, the world will be a better place. Will be much better place. We took how many soldiers commit suicide in US every day? Do you have any idea? 27 soldiers commit suicide every day in United States of America. So we started a program called Welcome Home Troops, where the troops came from all these other places. Am I taking too much time? We called it Welcome Home Troops. When we taught the troops who had traumatized, their lives changed. They're so grateful. I know people, the suicidal tendencies disappeared from those people. This is the power of spirituality. It can take you out of depression. It can take you out of suicidal tendency. It can give you enormous energy and strength. It will give you intuitive power. It will make you look into the future more than what the normal person can see or do. So when the intuition improves in you, success is in your hand. Anything you do will be successful. Because everything, your actions depend on your thought. And your thought depends on its state of mind. Uh-huh.
Simply define spiritual value for peace and sustainability. This topic simply defined. Here they have told me that Maharishi has written a book which is named something and the art of living. So please explain us your experiences if you have any. Because
Yes, Maharshi Ji is one of the great sons of this country who wrote Science of Being and Art of Living. He was a very scientific minded person, and he balanced both between science and, of course, art, and also in the world politics. He was very much interested in the world politics. He started a party also, but somehow it was too soon for people to understand his vision. That didn't work through. But why should I define peace? Tell me. Definition क्यों चाहिए? ने अभी तक जो बोला है वो यही तो बोला। हम चाहते हैं हर चीज कुछ डिफाइन करके एक कोने पे बिठा दें ब्रेन में। ये स्पिरिचुअलिटी नहीं है। स्पिरिचुअलिटी है मन को खाली रखो। पहले ही हम जब जान लेते हैं, हर चीज को जान लेते हैं, तो नहीं जान ही नहीं सकते कुछ। जानना हो, सुनिए, हम कहेंगे 2 + 1 = 3, 2 + 1 = 3, समझ में आता है? या 2 + 1 = 0 बोलेंगे तब बुखला जाता है दिमाग। क्यों? हमें जो कॉन्सेप्ट में हम बैठे हुए हैं उससे बाहर निकलना पड़ता है। सच्चा ज्ञान वही है जो आपके सारे डेफिनेशन को तोड़ दे। तो मैं डेफिनेशन नहीं देने वाला हूँ।